To attempt to understand the motivations of the men talked about in this video would be like trying to fathom the handling of the global pandemic. Too much chaos, too many important people looking out for their own interests, and the combination of the two producing catastrophic results. Instead, let's try and focus on just the one, the demise of Hulkamania. The phenomenon that became part of 1980s pop culture lore had clung to professional wrestling as late as 1996, but audiences were desperately trying to shake it off before Hogan finally turned the babyface corner at Bash at the Beach. Eric Bischoff getting a green light for WCW Nitro was the objective measure that the expensive Hulk Hogan experiment had indeed worked. But unfortunately for him, chaos awaited as an infamously large ego inflated beyond the 24 inches of his patented pythons. I'm Adam Nicholas, this is What Culture Wrestling, and these are the last days of Hulkamania. Now, in partial defense of Hulk Hogan, that'll be the first and last time we hear that sentence in this video, it's quite hard to write off the biggest star in the history of the industry. It would prove to be the case with Stone Cold Steve Austin, who burned out rather than fading away, with The Rock, who simply showed wrestling to be a journey rather than the end destination, and John Cena, who perhaps never formally called it quits with his first love. Hogan's WWE exit had been a breakup more awkward than profound. There was also quite the difference between the way the company lovingly phased him out of storylines in 1992 and his legitimate departure from the company just 1 year later. Scandal would then engulf WWE following multiple allegations of sexual abuse and rampant steroid use, with Hogan's face perpetually tied to the latter charges thanks to tales he told on Arsenio Hall's chat show 2 years earlier. Such was wrestling, then, now and forever. The mutually agreed play between McMahon and his meal ticket was for Hogan to step away for an undeterminate amount of time until the heat had died down. WrestleMania 8 was promoted as maybe Hulk's last show ever, and the Ultimate Warrior returned to theoretically slot into the red and yellow hole. Or, words to that effect. For the second time though, that strategy had failed, and with Warrior out of his own personalised revolving door by November 1992, Vince McMahon had the perfect excuse to pitch a grand return for his top star at 1993's Show of Shows. Hulk Hogan, being Hulk Hogan, however, pitched something even grander. The events of WrestleMania 9 have been poked at a lot over the years, and with good reason. Hogan went from working the mid-card and winning tag team gold to brushing that all aside with a cheap loss and flattening Yokozuna and Bret Hart to end the night as the first ever 5-time WWE champion. Hogan was thinking in the super short term, but had managed to make an uncertain Vince McMahon nervous about his financial future with Hart on top. As a result, McMahon reverted to the devil he knew. As a thank you, Hogan took the belt and went back to Japan. Increasing his drawing power in New Japan with the WWE Championship around his waist, something Hogan would call a trinket and a toy in comparison to the IWGP title, the Hulkster returned to WWE only to lose to Yokozuna before knocking out a few house show rematches. After this, Hulkamania really was dead, and WWE Magazine told us so, stating that the sumo star was the one to finally end the era. The fact that WCW then presented him fit as a fiddle on the other side made a bit of a mockery of all of this, of course, but then again, Hulk Hogan's sprawling vanity would end up making a mockery of WCW. Nitro would represent Hogan's first taste at live wrestling television in years, and my word, did we all soon know about it. Having flogged his Pasta Mania restaurant and blown through major matches with Lex Luger and Sting in early editions of the show, Hogan rapidly took on a Poochie-like presence thanks to his feud with the Dungeon of Doom, which then morphed into a feud with the Four Horsemen, which then manifested as the alliance to end Hulkamania, basically every heel that was still breathing in WCW, taking on Hogan and Randy Savage in the infamously rotten uncensored 96 Doomsday Cage match 8-on-2, which, of course, the Mega Powers won. WCW fans in attendance were sick and tired of everything Hogan did, and never was this any clearer than in his final months as a babyface before the legendary NWO switch. Take the end of the inaugural World War III pay-per-view, for example. That saw Hogan remonstrate so furiously over on-screen friend Randy Savage winning the world title that it genuinely started to look like a shoot. Or the February 12, 1996 Nitro, where he agreed to put Arn Anderson over cheaply, with the proviso that one spot featured him locking Double A in the figure 4 while capturing Ric Flair with a cradle at the same time. And while that particular list goes on and on and on, the worst was yet to come, but at least there was an end in sight. It was on April 15th where we finally reached the titular last days of Hulkamania, where Hogan needed time off to go and shoot a movie and perhaps restore the frazzled sanity of an audience that had started to loathe him. The Hulkster seemingly agreed, and per the Wrestling Observer at the time, was due to take a beating from the Giant and the Horseman, which was going to write him off WCW TV. Then, mysteriously, That just wasn't the case anymore. First, he booked his own disadvantage by battering Arn Anderson again and Kevin Sullivan again in a handicap match that gave him 5 minutes with any of the three heel managers targeting him at the time. After making light work of Anderson and Sullivan, he teased taking out Woman and Miss Elizabeth before setting his sights on Jimmy Hart. World Heavyweight Champion The Giant arrived on the scene to make the save and nailed Hogan with his then devastating chokeslam, which, wouldn't you know it, Hogan popped up from immediately, then gave the Giant his first ever slam, just for good measure, and finally posed for about a minute straight until the ad break. On commentary, Bobby Heenan, a man who'd spent large portions of his career trying to end Hulkamania, was disgusted with the state of it all, if perhaps not surprised. And while Heenan may have finally had the pleasure of watching the death of Hulkamania firsthand, he'd find himself disgusted all over again the next time Hogan walked the aisle at Bash of the Beach, albeit for very different reasons.
Hello and welcome to Kayfabe News. My name is Flippin' Marks and we have some serious news about the 2021 Royal Rumble winner. Due to a slow-moving, low-pressure system that has created dense fog and reduced visibility in the mountains of North Carolina, professional sports entertainer Edge on this day sees poorly. When asked for comment about this, the Rated R superstar said, "On this day, it's so real to me," referring to an Asheville radio weather report he heard that predicted this weather pattern. On a typical day, Edge sees clearly thanks to the hospitable climate of Asheville, North Carolina, and thanks to corrective laser eye surgery. Edge, real name Adam Sexcastle, had hoped to see clearly on this particular day because he considered it another chance to feel alive. But humidity and unseasonably warm temperatures dictated otherwise. Edge struggled on this day with the poor visibility, wandering around practically blind in the fog, asking random passers-by if they thought they knew him. Our thoughts and feelings, of course, go out to Edge, and we hope he regains some clarity and better vision as soon as possible. So yes, good luck to Edge. Please now do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You can check it out over on kayfabenews.com, or you can watch the video here on the channel, and we suggest that you do. And remember that Bret screwed Bret. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Bret Hart. Good night. Kayfabe News presented to you by our new sponsor, Stomps.com. Are you tired of waiting in line at the post office? Do you wish there was a better way? Well, Stomps.com is here to help. Because with Stomps.com, you don't have to stand in line like a chump or a jabroni. You can now stomp mud holes into everyone ahead of you in line. The patented Stomps.com system, developed by wrestling legend Rugged Ronnie Garvin, teaches you how to stomp your way to a happier, faster, somewhat easier post-office experience. Big line up, no problem. Use Finn Balor's coup de grace, the double foot stomp. Old lady at the front of the line doesn't have enough saliva to lick that envelope, no sweat. Take care of the problem with a Seth Rollins curb stomp. And did you know you can use Stomps.com to create loud noises that make your punches seem more powerful? No thigh slapping required. Stomps.com, you still have to go to the post office, you might go to jail, but at least you'll have some fun. You know, I used Stomps.com at the post office just this morning, and boy oh boy, I got my mailing done in half the time, and I only got tased twice. Thank you, Stomps.com.
So there you have it then, those were the last days of Hulkamania. Let us know your thoughts about this video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share, hit the old subscribe button if you haven't already. What's to lose? It's free. You can find the original article for this piece at whatculture.com/WWE. That's by Michael Hamford. Give that a read. You can follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. You can follow me on Twitter if that's your thing at It's Adam Nicholas. Or if you just want some more videos, there should be some just over here. I've been Adam Nicholas. This has been What Culture Wrestling, and we'll see you on the next one.